All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sarah Lang. I am the Southern Vermont Economy Project Manager out of the Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation. With me today in our 14th session of the Knowledge Bites webinar series is Briset, Flores and Leslie Pelch, and they are going to be talking with us about the Town Officers Education Conference, also known as TOEC. So the goal of these Knowledge Bites webinar sessions are to provide high-level information on resources, programs, tools, funding related to economic and workforce development. At the end of the session, I'll provide you guys with a link of where you can, one, get the recording of this session, as well as the PowerPoint that Briset has put together, as well as their contact information if you want to know more. So the structure of the webinar is it's about a 20-minute presentation. There will be 10 minutes for question and answer. I have everyone muted just to avoid the chaos of everyone's mics being on. And so if you have a question, go ahead and enter it into the chat function. You see the little chat bubble. You can do this during the presentation or at the end, whatever you feel like. And Briset and Leslie will address those questions at the end. Like I mentioned, this session is being recorded, so you can find that at this link you see at the bottom of the page. That's also where all the past sessions are archived and information on the future or the upcoming sessions. So I think I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Briset and we will get started. So bear with me 1 second.
Hello. So hi, my name is Briset Flores. As Sarah mentioned, I'm the UVM Extension Town Officers Education Conference Coordinator, also known as TOEC. Today we just wanted, along with my colleague Leslie Pelch, we wanted to just quickly share with you what TOEC is, how it got started, and give you a better understanding of what it has to offer and how it can benefit you. So what is the Town Officers Education Conference? They're one-day conferences for all town officials, and I really want to stress all town officials. It's something that really makes our conferences unique. We really try to bring all levels of experience and different positions. So whether you're a veteran to town officer, to a town office, or you are new to being an officer of a position, we really believe that there's something really unique and great about bringing everyone from different levels together and be able to learn from each other and your colleagues as well as your peers. And if you bear with me, it seems we're having a little bit of a technical issue. Okay, so, and we will continue. I apologize for that. So, again, it typically, they take place in April. We really work to utilize our resources to allocating 2 locations, central locations around Vermont. They're convenient and easy to access for statewide officials. And we offer 20 different workshops plus a keynote.
Gary Fox.
And again, all our officials are welcome to these conferences. So I just want to touch a little base on the history of TOEC. This is the 73rd year that the conferences have come together. So when we really take a second and think about that, we're looking at 19. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. You're still on your first screen, so I don't know if you want to go into your next slides, but right now we're only seeing the intro slide.
Okay. Can you see them now? I'm trying to figure that part out.
So if you click on the slide deck that's to the left, that will bring up the next slide.
I'm not seeing a slide deck.
So on the left-hand side of the screen where you can see sort of miniature pictures of your slide.
I'm not able to see that.
Oh, well, you just advanced, so that's what we want.
Okay.
So I think you were talking about the history, so that would be the next slide after that.
Can you see it now?
Oh, yes, perfect. That's
okay.
Yep, there you go. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. All right. Glad that we're all on board now. So again, talking about the history of TOEC, we're looking at 1945 being when we first see the TOECs come to Vermont. And it really came to UVM specifically through the UVM professor of political science, Andrew Newquist, which some of you may know him as the founder of Vermont League of Cities and Towns, and he started that in 1967. Really in the 1960s is when we see the strong backing from Professor Newquist towards the town education conferences, and we see a partnership between UVM and the League of Cities and Towns bringing these conferences to town officers, and as a strong way to advocate for not only town officer education and training opportunities, but also networking opportunities. So why the TOECs are important, really when we look at our data and our input from our attendees, it's the education opportunities. When we come together to plan these conferences, we look at what's happening in state government programs and how we can educate our town officials on changes. Changes in legislature happen yearly and throughout the year, and so being able to communicate that directly from either legislative branches or partnering organizations, we really try to bring them on board when possible. And also leadership education. Again, we have all experience levels of town officers attending these conferences, and so really we want to prepare the officers coming to be able to deal with difficult situations, be able to improve their communication and leadership skills so that they can best do their job. Networking. So it's something that we really strive to do, connecting not only your own colleagues, but from across the state as well. And again, I cannot stress enough that we really try to bring officials from all over, all experience levels, and regardless of your position, we really try to find something that will be of interest to everyone. And speaking a little bit more about networking opportunities, at these conferences we will offer a 1-hour networking lunch. So it's really an opportunity to meet people at your tables or your surrounding tables, or even speak to a presenter that you have more interest, that you have follow-up questions that you thought about asking, or just connecting with them about something they can help you with. We also offer exhibitor opportunities at these conferences, so whether you're an organization that works with town officers or is looking to connect with town officers, whether you're for-profit or nonprofit, we will typically offer 10 to 15 exhibitor slots at each conference, and offer an opportunity for these organizations to lay out a booth and give information out as to what their services and resources are for town officers. And again, it's just about opening those lines of communications. We also offer sponsorship opportunities. So for nonprofit or for-profit organizations that would like to get their name out in a different way, there's several opportunities for these organizations to get their name out there, to educate town officers on what they do and what they offer. And it's really just an opportunity for also for town officers to benefit from new programs that could be helpful for their positions. If you're interested in learning about more sponsorship opportunities, I highly recommend that you send me an email, and I'm happy to pass that information along to you. And my email will be available at the end of this recording. Just to give you a little bit of an insight as to some of the workshops that we offer, some of the topics that we've done in the past have been around solar evaluation, public records management. We have the Department of Property Taxes come in and talk about new changes in tax laws and tax programs that are being implemented throughout towns. We have stormwater management, to name a few. Civil communications. Sometimes it can be difficult to get when you're running a town meeting to have a communication about difficult subjects. So really learning tools to lead those hard conversations within your town. And emergency management tools. With the weather we've been having, it's really important for our town officials to be prepared and get access to that type of information for when the weather changes unexpectedly or something else occurs in your town. Some of the organizations that we work with are the Vermont Center for Geographic Information, the Vermont Council on Rural Development, VALA, which is the Listers Association, Vermont Local Roads, the Vermont Tax Department again, and the UVM Spatial Analysis. So you can kind of look at the list as ongoing, and it changes a little bit each year, but just to give you a picture of what we offer. And before I switch over to my colleague, I just want to let you know that our 2018 conferences are coming up on April 3rd in Lake Maury and April 10th in Capitol Plaza in Montpelier. Our early registration price is $65 per person. These are full-day conferences that go on from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll include a light breakfast, a hot lunch buffet, and an afternoon snack, and coffee and beverages are available throughout the day. I really want to stress that if you're interested in attending one of these conferences, to register between February 15th, which is when our registration opens, through March 15th, because as of March 16th, our registration will be increasing to $85. So I definitely recommend you take advantage of the early registration price. And for town officers that maybe feel like the price may be an issue for them to attend, we definitely take that into account and want to make these conferences accessible. And so we offer scholarship opportunities for towns. And to learn more about that, welcome you to send me an email or look at our website for more information regarding scholarship opportunities. And now I'd like to hand it off to my colleague Leslie Pelch, who will talk a little bit more about her experience working in TOEC.
Thank you, Briset. And it would be great if you would keep running the PowerPoint. Excuse me, thought I was ready to talk. So my name's Leslie Pelch. I was the outreach coordinator at the Vermont Center for Geographic Information for about 21 years until just last week. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about VCGI's participation in the TOEC. And we have participated in a few different ways, so I'll talk about all of those. VCGI, Vermont Center for Geographic Information, is part of the Agency of Commerce and Community Development and focuses on the provision of digital mapping data and services and resources and information related to digital mapping technology. We've participated as a presenter for at least 15 years, and I couldn't honestly remember exactly when we started presenting. And we've also been participating on the planning committee for at least about the past 10 years. So I wanted to talk a little bit about why we participate as a presenter. The TOECs have offered us a great opportunity to connect with town officials and share with them information about our services. So we Both are a data warehouse, kind of a central location for digital geospatial data or mapping data that comes from a lot of different sources. All different state agencies create map data, and the goal of VCGI is to bring that together so that it's conveniently available to people who are doing mapping. Over the years, we've also developed resources that are for folks who do not necessarily do desktop mapping with special software but want to access the mapping information. So there's online mapping applications that some of you might be familiar with, like the A&R Atlas and other types of online maps. So we want to promote both awareness about the data and the other resources that we offer about the online mapping systems, and just about the technology in general and how towns can get into using it if they're interested, if there are folks in their town office who are interested in using it, or if there are citizens asking for resources. So we talk about, as I mentioned, online and desktop mapping tools, parcel mapping options, parcel mapping being a very popular topic, or at least an interesting topic in town government. We also give examples of how mapping data can be used, because in the digital environment it's pretty different. There's a lot more you can do with mapping data than just with a paper map, and many town officials just aren't aware of the types of things that you can do with digital mapping software and tools. And then in particular, over the last few years, we've really focused on the statewide parcel mapping data project, which is a funded project, and we're trying to get towns to realize that they can participate, doesn't cost any money, and they will get improved and updated digital parcel map data as a result of participating. So this TOECs have been a great venue for getting that information out to towns. Thank you. And so I also wanted to talk a little bit about why we participate on the planning committee, because I have found participating on the committee to be just as helpful in different ways to VCGI as an organization. First of all, it helps us ensure that we get to present, which is obviously one of the first reasons any of us participate on the planning committee. And it also, even just the interactions on the committee can sometimes help us understand what sorts of topics might be of interest to town officials, or just generally what topics are hot topics that year, you know, what's happening in the legislature. I often learn a lot from the other folks on the planning committee who are interested in presenting when I find out what they're going to be presenting about. And then the final thing is that we actually learn about opportunities to partner with other planning committee participants within or outside of TOECs. And so again, it's kind of a networking opportunity for us as an organization, and I think for the other organizations that participate. And then we all have a real interest in ensuring that town officials get high quality information and training, and are able to do their jobs well and be informed about what's going on in the state that will help them to do their jobs well. You can move that one forward. So, thank you. And that's all I have to say. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
And before we close off, we just want to remind you again of our 2018 conference dates that will be coming up on April 3rd at Lake Maury and April 10th at Capitol Plaza in Montpelier. Again, our registration prices are on the screen, $65, and my email and our web page is available below. We do really, as Leslie stressed, poll our town officers throughout Vermont when we're planning these conferences to really try to offer the latest use of technology, collaboration methods, which are actually our themes for this year. So we'll actually be announcing also our keynote speakers in the next couple of weeks before registration opens.
Great, thank you guys so much. You may have just said it, but could you elaborate a little bit? What is the topic for the upcoming conference?
It's technology collaboration and innovative tools that municipal leaders can use that will help municipal leaders. And so we're really engaging this year the topic around technology collaboration as forms for town officials to try new methods or learn about new methods that will help their own towns be successful in their position. So we have some of the workshops we're working on this year, bringing together Front Porch Forum and talking about open meeting laws and what that has to do when we are, engaging in Front Porch Forum or other social media outlets to promote or to educate our own town constituents about changes in their own town government.
Great, that sounds really interesting. Does anyone else have any questions?
Nope, that's great. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. All right, well, if no one else has any questions, I am going to just close out here. If I can get my thing to work. There we go. So the next two webinar sessions are on January 23rd and then February 13th. We'll have Whitney Bush of the Office of the Attorney General. She'll be talking about the Consumer Assistance Program that they provide. And then on February 13th, we'll have a staffer from the Vermont ACCD, and they'll be talking about Think Vermont and discussing ways in which Southern Vermont people can utilize this website. Again, these sessions are archived at the link below, and we're always open to suggestions. So if there's a program or resource that you want to know more about, just reach out to me, and then I can contact the expert on that. Again, thank you, Briset and Leslie. We really appreciate it, and hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you, Sarah. Have a good day.
Take care.
Thank you, Sarah. Have a good afternoon.
Yep. Bye-bye.